Hi there. Welcome back to our series on every species that I own. And what I've got with me right now is Big Daddy. And Big Daddy is my African sulcata tortoise, which is a species, honestly, that I would not have picked to keep, at least not in the next few years. I already had a tortoise, and one tortoise is enough tortoises for me. Not a huge tortoise person. Somebody asked me to take Big Daddy as a rescue, and I just said I don't have a place for a sulcata tortoise. So they asked me if I would watch him just for a few days while they were going to be out of town, and I said I'd be willing to. And he was so cool. Tortoises are really only fun when they eat, and he eats constantly. But he's a grass eater, which means he's actually kind of reasonable to feed. I thought if you just took my other tortoise and scaled it up to this size, it was going to cost me an arm and a leg to feed this guy. But he's actually very reasonable to keep, except for the giant enclosure I had to build, which I went ahead and built because he's amazing. And so by the time my friend came back who needed a new home for this guy, I was ready to provide one for him. And we love having him. My wife loves him. You'll notice all of our turtles are related to her because she picks out rad turtles. That's just the truth of things. And we do have, of course, a full video on sulcata tortoises, so you can check that out down in the description. We'll have links to all the videos we've got on the animals that I've got. But he's great. Let's see what else we've got for you. This is Lenny, and Lenny is one of my bearded dragons. I love bearded dragons. I actually took Lenny in as a rescue. I knew some people that needed a new home for their bearded dragon, and a lot of times, life situations change, and I'm glad that they sought me out. She's been really excellent, and she comes to a lot of shows because bearded dragons, they're just made to be props, essentially. I mean, I can set her on my shoulder, but I can put her up on my shoulder, and she'll just stay there for a long time and hang out. And bearded dragons are really excellent this way. Actually, before I got my first bearded dragon, I researched them for a long time, and I didn't want one. I just thought bearded dragons are too common. Everybody's got a bearded dragon. But the more I researched exactly what I wanted in the lizard, the more I kept coming back to the same answer. I want a bearded dragon, I want a bearded dragon, I want a bearded dragon. So eventually I got a bearded dragon, and bearded dragons are even cooler than I thought they'd be, and I'd already decided they were the perfect pet lizard for me. They're just rad. And of course, we got a video on them, so check that out down in the description. See what else we've got for you. Up next is a glorious little female crested gecko that I actually produced. I love crested geckos. I wound up getting my first crested gecko because somebody sent me to an expo to pick out a great pet reptile for them, and I got a crested gecko, but before I had a chance to give it to them, I fell in love with it, and so we wound up keeping her. And shortly thereafter, I started breeding crested geckos because crested geckos are super fun to breed. And this is an example of a crested gecko I could never afford to buy. I could never afford to purchase her, but I hatched her out, and she's more amazing than her parents are as far as just this glorious look that she has. They are so much fun to breed. They're fun to interact with. I really, really like crested geckos. There's so much to love about them. I have been blown away by what great pets they are, and they just make my day. And of course, we've got actually several videos on them, and including a video on what great pets they are, so make sure to check that out down in the description. Let's see what's next. This is my corn snake, and the funny thing about corn snakes is I've never bought one. Not for myself anyway. I've been sent on a mission to find a corn snake for a few different people, the university that I work for, and a few different individuals that wanted one, but I have never bought myself a corn snake. But I've owned several of them that I've taken in as rescues. Some of them I've rehomed, and this is the one that I have right now. Corn snakes are the best, well, they're the top rated animal we've ever ranked using our system. And so we do have a video on these guys that you can check out down in the description because they make spectacular pets. I can't say I've been blown away by them because I knew they were really good before I ever got one. And I'm not in love with them in the same way that I'm in love with hognose snakes and ball pythons, but I think for most people, this is maybe the best pet reptile you can get. They're just out of this world, and I do love them, and they're just great. This is my Cuban Anole. It's actually a captive bred baby. A friend of mine had some adult Anoles, and one day this little guy popped up in there, and who knows how long he'd been living with his parents, somehow surviving their presence, because they probably would have gobbled him up had they noticed that they had the opportunity. But he's a fun little guy, actually pretty well behaved so far for an Anole. They're not notoriously nice, but he does have a bit of an attitude. Sometimes he'll stick out his big dewlap and open his mouth and try to impress me. But we'll see how he turns out as an adult. I really like him though. Alright, so this is my Pueblan milk snake, Marlin. And Marlin's kind of a funny story. You can see I'm a little more careful with him. Not only is he one of only 2 snakes I've ever been bitten by, and the only snake I own that has bitten me, but if you've seen the video we have on milk snakes, sometimes he tries to eat himself, so I'm just being a little extra careful with this guy today. But he's actually a really great snake, especially for a milk snake. He's really good. I'm always careful with him. But I got him actually for the university that I work for. They had asked me to find them a corn snake, so I got them a corn snake, and then they said next they were going to want a milk snake. And so I got them a milk snake, and then they said, actually, I don't think we want a milk snake. And I went, well, I've already got a milk snake. And they said, well, just hang on to it for a little bit. And I fell in love with him. And so if they wanted him back, they couldn't have him anyway. He's just a marvelous snake, so I wound up keeping him. And he's been great. He's actually really just a terrific snake. Really good milk snake, good for presentations. He bit me once, bit himself every now and then, but everybody's got their quirks, right? Let's see what else we got for you. What I've got right here is one of my female mourning geckos, and I know she's a female because they all are. Mourning geckos are a parthenogenic species, which means that they're all female and they produce clones of themselves. And so I've got 2. They were a gift from my friend Kevin. What a great gift they are. And they may turn out to be the gift that keeps on giving, because I've got eggs now and I'm waiting for them to hatch. I actually had one hatch before, and I had a little baby mourning gecko, and then it vanished. I think the moms might have eaten it. So, they might have eaten her. I can be certain of that. But now I move the eggs, so when they hatch, they don't end up in with the parents. Lesson learned. Try not to have that happen again. But they are really cool geckos. I really like them. This is my first time trying to handle one. Generally speaking, I would say don't attempt it. But because I only have 2, I actually interact with them quite a bit, and I thought, I think I can handle them. And I can. But as you'll see in the bloopers at the end of this, she's taken some flying leaps during this time. Fortunately, they're very small and are unlikely to get injured in such a athletic and daredevil-y stunt. Mourning geckos. They're rad. Alright, you guys know this girl. This is Ember, and she is my Central American boa, and I adore her. I actually didn't know I wanted a boa. At the time I kept ball pythons, and I was getting a blue-tongued skink, and I went to go pick it up, and actually the day of, I called them up to make sure I had the right address and everything where I was supposed to get it, and they said, we've actually also got a boa and a ball python, would you be willing to take those also? And I thought, well, I guess I can probably find homes for these. So I went, and well, at first I asked, how big is this boa? Because some boas can get really big, and I didn't know if I was ready for that. And at the time she was smaller than this, but she was by far the biggest snake I was going to have. And I thought, okay, so I took her and a ball python in as rescues at the same time as I went and got this blue-tongued skink. And I was able to rehome the ball python, but when I pulled her out in front of my wife, Leisha said, you have to keep her. And when Leisha says you have to keep an animal, I say, okie dokie. And so we kept Ember, and she has been spectacular. She's become probably my favorite snake. She's totally turned me into a boa fanatic. I love boas. And even though I don't have a lot, because they are a bigger handful than, say, ball pythons or hognose snakes or most of the other snakes we've talked about, there's just something so special about them. And if I could only keep one snake, it'd probably be a boa, because they're just out of this world, and I love them. She's one of my very favorites. And of course, we've got a full video on the BCI boas, like Central American boas. So check that out down in the description. Especially if you want to see more Amber, because she's stinking rad. Love this girl. And last but not least is an animal you've never seen before in one of our videos, but you might have heard it before, because this is one grumpy dude. This is my Dumerils monitor, also known as a brown roughneck monitor. And I actually got him because he was part of a friend of mine owned him and a few others, and he was just kind of an extra grumpy Dumerils monitor. And the really nice thing about Dumerils monitors is that they don't tend to be biters. And this guy has been no exception to that rule. But other than that, he's kind of a grumpy dude. And he gives me a run for my money. And I've been working with him for a long time to get him even to this point, because he used to just whip me and hiss at me and just not let me get anywhere close to him. But little by little, we're making progress with him. I'm giving him a lot of food rewards. He's not as nice as I would like for a Dumerils monitor to be. There's a reason I haven't recommended them yet. I'm trying to find a large monitor that I think makes a good pet, because Ackies are kind of small monitors. And the truth is, I am yet to find one that is really very good. None of them are anything like an Ackie. And Ackies are great. If you want a big lizard, I recommend Tegus. And I'll keep you updated on my thoughts on brown roughneck monitors. You'll have to like and subscribe so you make sure you get that video and our next video, because we have still not covered every animal that I own. So make sure to like and subscribe. Click the little bell so you get a notification when that video and all of our awesome videos come out. I'm going to put this guy away, and we hope to see you real soon. Word.
Point down. The description. Okay, good.
Sort of maybe an accidental captive breeding, because possibly a cat. I think I can hold them.
You can't have a
You've
part-time
never?
job.
There you
That's
go.
ridiculous.
Why are they called mourning
Yeah,
geckos?
really sad.
Oh, I don't know.
If anyone has
Okay, stop. Okay, because I got it.
It's a jumper.
It's like
Are they
just-
asexual?
Uh-huh.
Shut up.
And they have a fake copy.
Okay, now stop talking, everybody. Okay. Stop jumping. Okay, I hypothesize I can hold this. This is a more, but this is my first.